I'm 24 years old and go by Ethan. My brother Nicholas, who is 25 years old, and I don't really get along. Anyway, we don't converse much because he plays too near to the bit practical jokes. A specific individual who sustained injuries was my fiancée, Mia. We were in the same high school class. We took a couple classes together over our 4 years together. When we were juniors, my brother and a few other people found out that Mia had a serious crush on me. When he gets her number, what does he do? He started phoning her, pretending to be me. He was able to keep her from figuring out the ruse by telling her that my parents are very strict and that my brother would expose us if he spotted us at school. So the 3-month relationship was just textual. When he announced that we could no longer pretend to be a couple over lunch, everything boiled. She approached me at his request, and I was clearly somewhat confused. From a different table, he was recording and laughing with his silly friends. She saw Alec cry in the bathroom, and that's when we both realized what was going on. One of her friends called me names because they thought I was involved. I was inconsolable. She was deeply embarrassed by the video because so many people at the school started laughing about it once it went viral. I apologized to her and informed her that my brother was to blame for all that had happened. Even though we only had one class together our last year, I tried to interact with her more. Then, during our first year of community college, we just so happened to be enrolled in the same math class. As study companions, we became closer, and I began to develop feelings for her. We had an outing planned. 5 years into our relationship, I asked her to marry me. It was mutually agreed upon that he was not welcome at our wedding. Even in our senior year of high school, she was teased, which had a significant impact on her even though we ended up dating. Even though he knew she had a crush on me, he tried to manipulate me by acting in this way towards an unknown person. His antics haven't changed. Furthermore, he has no remorse for what he did to her, even though he still pushes them too far. My parents are pressuring him to go as he is the only sibling I have and he wants to. He stressed that Mia should stop being so emotional about the wedding since it's a big deal and the whole family had to be there to celebrate with us. Mia is upset, but neither she nor I really want him to be there, which is what's causing this meaningless quarrel. It is presumed that we do. Not the idiot, but me is the one at blame. Tell him that his previous actions and his current lack of empathy or regret mean that he won't be welcomed at all, and that he should stop being so angry about it. Make sure your parents know that someone will be there to assist him in leaving if he shows up without authorization. Would you be willing to bet that he has discovered that awful video and frequently plays it at the Knoll? Your brother is not a practical joker, he's a bully for something. A joke is only truly funny if it makes people laugh out loud. He refuses to acknowledge that what he did was wrong and speaks endlessly about the kind of guy he is. Do not ignore the things he has done. It's time to bring it up with him. You have to arrange a genuinely captivating affair, something that your family and brother both endorse. Set up money for a beautiful, romantic honeymoon from the proceeds of the wedding and reception. Any money left over after eloping could be applied as a down payment for a house. I agree. I promise that my brother will never change like that. The fact that he is enlisting your parents in his defense shows how pathetic and low he is ready to fall. You can cause more chaos during your wedding and say, "I was just kidding," after you've also destroyed her big day. Probably because he was smitten with her. That's just the way they are. Pay him back by rating him, letting him know you got a new phone, using a different number, and sending him an SMS invitation. Use security to prevent him from coming into the area. Watch the full embarrassing encounter where he is refused admittance and is let out. Play the video for everyone. Now, just picture how much calmer it would be if you did this instead of actually doing it. To be honest though, you should stand by your decision not to invite him. How is he going to handle the wedding? Who knows? My ex and I had a one-night fling that resulted in pregnancy when we were engaged. About the same age as our children. My ex-partner and I had a son together because I was also pregnant, but he hasn't been in touch with his intended daughter. The child's mother, who is the friend of his pal, knew that we were involved. Even though they both insisted they had no idea what they were doing and he had been drinking when it happened, I'm trying not to hold a grudge towards either of them. I do not know if she was. Since he doesn't live in the UK and only travels there to see our son, the mother has been trying to force him to take a paternity test so he can help raise their daughter, but she hasn't been able to get through to him. She's tried to contact him, but she hasn't heard back, and she doesn't know his address. She finally came over to me to ask for his number. I explained to her that I couldn't tell her because my ex always comes through for me and I wasn't sure whether letting him know that I had given her his contact details would make him less helpful. Furthermore, he's not the kind of guy you want to oppose. I suggested that she hire a private investigator to find out. She told me, though, that she couldn't afford it and that everything my son was getting should also go to her daughter. She also asked me to be the close friend of her children, but I had to reject her down since I don't know if my ex is the father and I don't want my son to get attached in case she's not his sister. All of a sudden, she is angry and upset with me. She thinks I'm not giving her the details of how to get in touch with him because I'm greedy and want to retain all of his money for myself. This is not accurate. Or am I the fool, not the foolish one? She probably knew about our engagement because she's a friend of a friend. She and him, however, shared a bed. Oh my God, you should be grateful that you even saw her. She can lie in her adulterous bed that she made. Olivia, you're putting your child in danger. She's not your problem, even though I understand her situation. You would be betraying the father of your child. Maybe she could give me her phone number. I would then let the father know that she has been asking for him and that he should provide her with some details. What happens after that is up to them. At that point, you'll feel as though you won her trust and you didn't disappoint her. She seems to be solely focused on generating money, by the way. So, I would advise everyone to move cautiously until we have more information. Do you mean that she is a single mother attempting to get child support from an incompetent father if you suggest that she is solely interested in the money? Olivia, I know you don't want to annoy your ex, but you're turning down a child's help. You said he would quit paying you if you told her. However, according to his actions, your former partner is most likely the child's father and needs to take accountability for that. You expressed not wanting to make him an enemy, and that scares me. I don't want to judge someone based on that, for that reason. What do you mean? And if you were worried that your ex wouldn't pay, why wouldn't you have him comply with the court's decision and pay child support? And he should receive what he deserves for not even getting a paternity test to find out whether the child is his when the court comes after him for non-payment. If the child turns out not to be yours, at least find out so you can go on. Your ex is the idiot. If so, you have to take accountability the same way he did for your child. Please, for God's sake, get this man a vasectomy. Together with my wife, I have 3 kids. Even though Kate, our 19-year-old, completed her high school education last year, she still lives at home. She was admitted to a number of schools but declined them because she wanted to take a vacation from learning and wasn't sure if she wanted to attend college. We were fine with this, but we did have some rules for her if she wanted to live at home. These were really simple rules. She had to work at least 30 hours a week and keep helping out around the house. I wanted her to give me a small amount of rent, which we would save, and then give it back to her when she left. However, my wife disagreed, believing Kate should learn how to save money on her own. Kate has been in therapy for her anxiety issues since her junior year of high school. She also takes her meds. Similar to many 19-year-olds, she too struggles with impulse control. She usually displays this via her spending habits. She will spend the money as soon as she gets it. And based on what I've observed, she typically spends money on frivolous things. Jewelry, makeup, salon visits, spa days, and clothes she might wear only occasionally are all crammed into her room. We frequently discuss money management, but we always argue that it's her money, and she should be free to spend it whatever she pleases. Though I don't mind, I believe we ought to have at least a vote in how much she saves if she's still living at home and getting our free food and shelter. Less than $1,000 would be her savings. One day this past weekend, Kate came home with gorgeous rainbow hair. Kate responded that it cost $300 when my child asked her how much it was. Kate said that she did, in fact, spend $300 on her hair when I asked her. I informed her that kind of thing was way too costly for that kind of activity. She said that it makes her feel cheerful and is good for her mental health. I told her if she could afford to spend $300 on hair products, she could pay our rent. She immediately became combative, declaring that the money was hers to spend any way she chose. She went on to say that I don't understand why this is essential to her and that she hates my excessive control over her behavior. I told her that as long as she lived with us, I could continue to be critical of her choices. She called me a fool and then quickly vanished into her room, closing the door behind her. My husband told me that I should be supporting Kate and her choices more, especially when it comes to money. I told her that I wouldn't allow her live here for free if she continued wasting money. My spouse said that Kate needs to realize this for herself. But I also brought up the fact that she still wastes money as soon as it is acquired, even though she has had more than a year to learn. I told her we needed to discuss Kate living with us as we had other kids to support. Kate should also contribute in some way to the house if she intends to stay here as an adult. Not the idiot. If your wife is never forced to manage money, I wonder how she would gain that skill. If she never gets bills and then moves out and has to pay for everything at once, she won't be ready. It is therefore your responsibility as her parents to prepare her for success as an independent adult. You are the idiot here. You told her what you needed from her, a little work and help around the house. A year ago, she had to ask to use the restroom at school. A person does not become an adult overnight. Sit down and help her come up with a plan. She will make a lot of mistakes in her life if you decide to help her like the rest of us did. Give her a little wiggle room. We're quite mean to charge your youngster for rent. Charging a 19-year-old who is your child is ridiculous. It's vital to note that $300 is a very typical amount for hair coloring, since most people in other countries don't move out until they are in their mid-20s. Everybody says that $300 is a fair amount to color your hair. It's clear to you that she doesn't need to color her hair. Having said that, $300 is excessive for an unnecessary item, and it is nonsense to claim that it improves her mental health. Her parents are entitled to have some say over the decisions she makes in life. You guys are acting like a father who wants to enforce strict rules. Like curfews if she chooses to live at home. By setting away a small percentage of your rent for her, you can encourage her to adjust her spending habits in the least restrictive way possible. Someone would be foolish if they failed to notice this. My wife is currently 28 weeks pregnant and is not allowed to leave her bed. My pay wasn't enough for the two of us, so after the doctor told my wife she had pregnancy issues and needed bed rest, I asked her if she could work from home, even part-time. However, she refused and started accusing me of being unkind to a pregnant woman. Since then, I have avoided discussing it and have been juggling work and housekeeping. Unfortunately, I am unable to hire domestic assistants, therefore I am forced to complete everything at home. I work in a garage in addition to my full-time job, so I don't get much sleep. I've been cutting expenses everywhere but on necessities. Yesterday, my wife asked me for my credit card because she wanted some pregnancy apparel. She said she doesn't have anything to wear at home because there aren't many clothes that fit her anymore. I went through the attic last night while she was sleeping and found a bunch of things that I no longer fit into because I've lost a lot of weight, and I reminded her that she already has about 4 of those. I urged my wife to make do with what she had and gave her the clothes. She started talking, calling me reckless for not letting her use the credit card for anything, not even clothes. I informed her that even though I'd been waiting nearly 3 months for a new pair of prescription glasses for myself, expensive maternity clothes are not necessary, even when mine are broken. I attach superglue to my spectacles so I can use them. My wife hasn't paid me any attention since. Am I the stupid one? How are you two going to finance the baby? To be honest, having a child when you weren't financially ready was a dumb decision made by both of you. Why put a child through that kind of pain? I feel bad for them and the people they will become. Everybody is the moron here. It is crucial that you are ready for pregnancy and have enough money saved up. Bed resting is not that uncommon, it just doesn't happen very often. Since she is unable to return to work immediately, how will you pay for formula and diapers should the need arise if you are unable to buy maternity clothing or eyewear? None of you seem to have been well prepared. I am 30 weeks pregnant. I went to Facebook Marketplace to find my pregnancy clothes. If she's on bed rest, in particular, she doesn't require brand new, never worn maternity clothes because no one will see them. I bought a big bag of used maternity clothes on the market for $40. And after it's done, they may just be resold in the same place and for the same price. Don't be the idiot that never pays attention to people who belittle you for having children. Not everything in life goes as planned. Everyone is struggling financially these days, including us. Kids outgrow things so quickly that you have to make do with what you have. Not everything needs to be purchased brand new. The market is also a great place to find essential baby items that would be very expensive to purchase new. My sister Ruby, who is now 23 years old, was a widow when she married her current husband, 33-year-old Carter. Moreover, Daniel, 30, is my sister. Daniel, along with the rest of the family, was devastated by the sudden passing of my lovely brother-in-law. She was not the same after that. 3 little boys are the children of Carter and Daniel. As of right now, she is expecting. Since the birth of her first kid, Daniel has stayed at home with her children, while Carter works non-stop. Recall that Carter's salary is less than half of what my sister used to make as a manager at a big company, and that she left a wonderful position to take care of the family because of the global issue. When my sister offered to care my nephews, I didn't have a job. Carter was using the insurance money she received after her husband went away to make the payment even though she didn't want to and couldn't afford to. I made dinner for my nephews and got my paycheck on Friday. When I was done, I went to walk to Daniel's place and remembered that day, when Carter came to hear me out. He answered on our behalf, being close to us, saying, "I'm talking to Daniel. I would like to make it clear that we will be cutting back on hours or the hourly rate, and that I will be handling all household finances, including this money. After that, you can decide which is better." I answered, "You want to reduce something you don't pay? My pricing is already fair." Daniel did not even give me a direct look. Sincerely, I'd rather preserve that money for our 4th child, and we don't even need to spend it. That annoyed me, and maybe I was the idiot in this situation. I said Daniel wouldn't need a babysitter if she didn't have an unhelpful husband, 3 kids to care for, and 1 on the way. I make the decisions that are best for the family because I earn the most money for them, not him. Okay, thanks for reminding me that, despite being confined to a casket, my deceased brother-in-law achieves more than you do. I left. I received a surprise message from Carter informing me that I was fired and that I would only be going to his house once I had apologized publicly. Daniel conversed with me and expressed his gratitude for my support of her, yet, you also suggested that I extend my apologies to defuse the situation. I've already been hired for another work, so I'm not responsible for watching the kids. I'm not sure if I'm the stupid one, though. Not the idiot. What's remarkable about this is that your sister encouraged you to apologize to him even as she thanked you for defending her. She believes that to be maltreatment. He is mistreating her financially based on his remarks. How far does he go into it? You should talk to your sister and ask her to let you know. I would set up a private meeting for your sister to discuss this issue away from her house and reassure her that you would always be reachable. Even if you don't mean to apologize, I would consider doing so since it would benefit her. Carter comes across as a controlling, financially abusive man who found himself involved with a young widow going through a very trying time of grieving. She was conceived, wedded, and bound by love. She used the kids as leverage to leave her very successful business, and you most likely gave your sister some confidence back when you started babysitting. Daniel has shown signs of decreased loneliness and stress, and you have been pointing out problematic parts of this marriage. Daniel didn't have any control, though, because she was paying for you with her own money. As a result, he has scared Daniel by telling her that they must save for the baby, which has caused her to become totally dependent on him and their 4 young children and lose all financial freedom. Since he fired you based on the wage issue, Daniel is by himself once more. Have I missed anything? I don't think you need to apologize since you're not a fool. But, I think that a family meeting needs to be held to express concerns about your brother-in-law's treatment of her. Without forcing her to leave, you should all agree to stay with her and the children until she is able to recover. She just needs to let someone know if she ever decides to go.